everybody and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Anna, and I apologize for the lighting. It has never been the best, but right now it's actually pretty dark because Portugal is in the midst of a storm, which it's good and bad. It's good and amazing for reading. Oh my god, it's always raining, it's windy, and I'm here inside cozy, and I do have some time to read, but it's also bad because it's a mess out there, okay? So to anyone that is going to work, I feel so sorry for you because it is truly terrible out there. So I do apologize for the lighting, and as you can tell, we are in the midst of November, people, okay? And that is scary. That is scary for a number of reasons, because what do you mean it's the end of 2025? I know everyone says this, but we are all shocked. I think we are always collectively shocked about just how fast time goes by. I don't know what the science is behind that, but the older you get, the faster time goes, and I don't like it, okay? I do not like it one bit. But since we are in the midst of November, that means the year is coming to an end, and that means the end of the year book tag, and this is my first time doing it, and I'm just very, very excited, so let's get on right with the questions. So the first question is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? Now, I usually don't tend to do this, but yes, there is actually one book that I started, I don't know when, I don't know if it was April, May, June, it could have been any of these months, I really do not recall. And I still haven't read it. And that is Heavily Tired by Jiran Zhao. I think that's her name. I really don't know how to pronounce it, so I really, really do apologize. And hold up, there is an eyelash in my eye. Oh my god, why would this happen right now? Okay, I think I got it out. I think I'm good. But I started this book on audiobook. So I wasn't, technically reading it. I was listening to it. And I didn't even get to, I probably only got to 30% of the book. I think it was chapter 13, and I'm amazed that I still remember that. And it wasn't that I wasn't, enjoying the story. I did like where the story was going, and I did like the fact that everything was so political, but I am not an audiobook fan, and I think I just have to accept that. I don't like listening to books because whenever I do, I always go and walk my dog, and that's when I have the chance to listen to anything. And I don't know why, I just don't like listening to audiobooks. I cannot focus as much because I do have to watch for, he's behind the camera, what that little guy is doing, because he is sneaky sometimes and he eats things that he should not. So because I'm, attentive to what he is doing and also listening to the audiobook, I don't pay as much attention as I would have liked. And I don't know, I just don't feel like listening to an audiobook. Whenever I go out, I want to listen to my music or to my creepy, spooky podcasts. Because, again, that is also the only time that I have to listen to my podcasts when I go on walks. So I think that's why I don't really enjoy audiobooks, so it has nothing to do with this book in particular, but I really wanted to finish this one before the year ends because I have the ebook. So all I have to do is just pick it up where I left off and just continue reading. And the book is not even that long, so I don't know what I'm doing, but I do need to finish Heavily Tyrant. Question number 2. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? No, literally I don't have any autumnal books whatsoever. Although I do love fall, I don't usually match, my readings with the season that we're in. I don't know why, I just don't really like doing that. And I don't have a witchy book set in, a fall setting. I don't have any of that on my TBR currently. To me, I think the closest I could come to it would be Empire of the Dawn. Because it is, vampire-y, so maybe it has something to do with spooky season, fall, I don't know. But honestly, I don't think I have any autumnal book to transition to the end of the year. Question number 3. Is there a new release that you're still waiting for? So technically, this isn't a new release because it has come out already, but I'm still waiting for my copy of Empire of the Dawn to get here. I think it's going to be here on the 19th of November because it was just this whole thing on Amazon because I've never pre-ordered a book before on Amazon. So I thought, okay, I pre-ordered it in August, but I always use a fake credit card to buy anything off of Amazon. I just don't like giving my details, so that's what I did. But I didn't realize that when you pre-order something on Amazon, they don't take your money right away. They only take it, I think a week before or just a few days before. And I used my mom's email, my mom's account to buy the pre-order because we have Amazon Prime. We had Amazon Prime for, I think, 2 years, and it was linked to her name, her account, and so that's why I bought it with her account. And my mom kept receiving emails saying oh, your credit card info is wrong. Your credit card info is wrong. Please update it so we can send the order or the order is going to be canceled. And my dear mom, my innocent dear mom, she thought she was being scammed because she was like, I didn't order anything for Amazon. Why are you sending me emails? So for 1 week straight, she ignored those emails. until I asked my mom, like, hey, has my book shipped? And she was like, oh yeah, like, I received this email from Amazon, just read it. And I read it and I was like, Mom, this is not a scam, this was my book. So my order did get canceled because that fake credit card expired. And they couldn't, they had no way of getting my money, so I had to rebuy it again, which it's fine because they never, charged me for the money, so I only paid it once. But I really didn't know that pre-orders on Amazon worked this way, so now, instead of receiving the book on the 15th of November, it's only coming on the 19th, which is sad, but technically, this is still a new release that I am waiting for. I really want to know how that trilogy is going to end, and I really hope that it does not disappoint me, because I've mentioned here before that Empire of the Damned, which is the second book of this trilogy, disappointed me a little bit. I think it was just way too long for what it was. I think there was a lot of things that didn't need to be there, and Jake Kristoff just wrote so many scenes that didn't really move the plot forward. They did, develop the characters, and the characters did grow a little bit more, and it was important in that sense, but I think the story and the action should have also followed the main plot. I don't know, that's just my opinion. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, so I do hope Empire of the Dawn, redeems himself and redeems this trilogy for me, because these covers, stunning. That is one thing that you cannot take away from this trilogy, and that you cannot say shit about. These covers are freaking stunning. I love them so much, and I cannot wait to have like a big shelf where I can just display all of them. Question number 4. What are 3 books you want to read before the year ends? So, I don't know if I'm going to read all these 3 books before the year ends. These are just, things that I would really, really want to get to, because December is going to be a hectic month for me. I'm going to work, full time, so it's not, I'm not going to have that much time, but was Notes from the Underground by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Now, a preface, this is huge. I only want to read the short story Notes from the Underground, okay? I don't know if you can tell, but I do have, like, post-it notes where that short story is, because I'm not going to have time to read this behemoth of a book, especially because it is a classic, but I'm very, very excited for this one. I love Fyodor Dostoevsky's writing. I love his story, the way he portrays the characters, and the way that he just understands the human soul. It's like no other, really. Like, Fyodor Dostoevsky truly is the author, in my opinion, that knows the human soul the best, and I've seen a lot of people mention this also when it comes to him, and it is a very accurate, description of him, so I'm really, really excited to read this one, and it does have to be read, because this is my last classic of the year, and it's going to be part of my goal of reading 4 classics this year, so this one definitely has to be read. And another book, and this one has a very funny story, and I hope this one is really, really good, which is Midnight Never Come by Mary Brennan, I think that's her name. And I found this on a whim. So I was with my boyfriend, on a Saturday. We went out to the mall to have lunch together, and we went to a bookstore. And I was there, just looking for books, seeing what was new, and I found this one. And I thought this premise was so interesting because it has to do with dark fae. They are in very popular demand right now, but it's always the type of fae that I don't really enjoy. And my boyfriend, he went to search a little bit more about the book, and he said, oh no, like, this is actual fae. These are real fae. They are evil. They try to always cheat. They are always trying to manipulate you. And because this has a lot of politics between us humans and the fae creatures, I'm really, really intrigued, especially because this is not in the Victorian age. This is before the Victorian age in London, so I am also going to love the Gothic aesthetic, and it just really, really intrigued me. And the reason why this has a funny story is because it was Black Friday on that bookstore, and I didn't know, and this cost me €5. This book cost me €5, and honestly, if this book is a banger, it's going to be the best day of my life. Honestly, it's going to be, because can you imagine, finding a book on a whim, on a bookstore, something that interests you, it has a cover that really speaks to me, it has Gothic vibes, it has a lot of politics, it has dark fae that are trying to cheat you, fae that are trying their very best to manipulate you and steal power from you, which, I just love that, and this costs €5. Like, if this is a banger of a book, and if this book is 5 stars and it only cost me €5, I've won my day. So, of course, this one has to be read this year, because I need to find out if this book is going to be a 5 stars or not. And of course, and this one is very Delulu of me, I would love to read Brazinger by Christopher Paolini, the 3rd book in the installment of the Harrington Cycle, I believe. And, the reason why I pushed this back so much is because I read Eldest, and it really, really disappointed me. I did not like Eldest, that much. It was only a 3 stars, because, like I said, everything was just so boring from Aragorn's point of view. I know the training was important, and it is important, but it was just so boring. Like, nothing happened. It was just a lot of info dumping, and that's why I didn't really go to Brazinger straight away, because I was a little bit, scared, because this book is even bigger than Eldest, and imagine, if Eldest was boring, what is going to be Brazinger? So what if Brazinger is even worse? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I still haven't read Berserker, but I think it does have to happen because I do really want to finish the Inheritance Cycle saga. It's just only 4 books. It's nothing special, and I just really want to know what everyone was raving about, 10 years ago, possibly. I don't know if it was 10 years ago. And I'm also very excited to read Mortog because he, for now, is my favorite character. So in order to read Mortog, I do have to finish this saga, or at least I think I do. So that has to happen, definitely, although I am very, very scared. Question number 5. Is there a book that you think could still shock you and become your favorite of the year? Yes, I think it can. And that honor goes to Notes of the Underground by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Now, I think this is the only thing that can beat A Storm of Swords by George R. R. Martin or Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. He is the only author that can actually take the throne because his writing, like I said previously, it's amazing. It's immaculate. The way that he just understands the human soul, the way that he can describe everything that you are feeling, even though he has been dead for quite some time, it's astounding to me. It's really, it really does shock me sometimes when these, especially these classical authors, they just have a way with words. They just have a way to explain and express what you're feeling when you don't even know that you were feeling that way. They just understand pain and sorrow and love and grief and friendship to a level that I will never be able to understand and that I will never be able to express. And that happens, of course, with Fyodor Dostoevsky. And this is possibly the only book that can become, still one of my favorites of the year. And honestly, this is a side rant, but to those people that are already starting to say, oh, these were the best books I read this year, it's November, people. Like, why are you doing this so soon? You still have the entire month of December. I am only going to be posting about the best books that I've read of 2025 after December ends, because anything can happen. Literally anything can happen. I can still read the best book of my life in December. So I don't really understand how people can just simply, state their favorite book of the year in November. I don't like seeing that at all. I don't know why. It just really, really bothers me. So yeah, this is the one that still has a chance to take the throne. Question number 6. Have you already started making plans for 2026? Well, of course, I love planning. I just love making to-do lists. So, of course, I've already started planning for next year. So, hear me out. Next year, I also really want to do the challenge of reading 4 classics. I think just the number 4 is really good for me. It doesn't put a lot of pressure on me to read classics because I am always intimidated by a classic. I'm always afraid that there is going to be one classic that I'm just not going to understand, that I'm not going to be able to read it because I don't understand half of the words, half of what is being said. So I think just 4 books is enough for me to scatter around, just throughout the year. I still haven't decided on what books I do want to read, what classic books I do want to read. I think another Fyodor Dostoevsky, of course. Maybe I'll even finish, the copy that I have of Notes of the Underground because it has a lot more other short stories. So that, obviously, yeah, that one is obviously going to 2026, but I don't know any other, classics. I'll decide later. Another plan that I do have for 2026 is finally starting with The Realm of the Underlings by Robin Hobb. Listen, I'm not going to read the 16 books next year. I'm not going to read all of it. My plan is to at least read 3 trilogies in that universe. And I am very, very excited, but I'm also scared because imagine I don't like it. Like, what am I supposed to do if I don't like Realm of the Underlings and I think it's so overhyped? I don't even want to think. I don't even want to think about that. I don't even want to think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even want to think about that hypothesis. It doesn't exist, okay? But I am very, very excited to start reading that entire saga because a lot of people rave about it and all of you know about it. I'm not going to be here talking about the series, but I am, very excited because I do have a feeling that I am going to enjoy it. But I am also a little bit intimidated because, 16 books. It's a lot, okay? 16 books is a lot, but that is another plan that I do have for 2026. And another goal of mine for next year is to become a little bit more of a mood reader. Now, like I said, I do love creating lists. I love having TBRs. I love following my TBRs, but there are times that I do, wish that I could just read something that I wanted to, or for example that I just could pick something out of random without having to think so much about it. And I do want to prioritize that. I think every single month next year I would love to just pick one book, from my TBR, just random. And I can even use a random generator. I could use, little papers, I don't know, a TBR jar maybe, who knows. But I would just love to do that more often because it's actually very fun having someone else choose your TBR. So I definitely do want to become a little bit more of a mood reader next year. And lastly, one other goal that I do have for 2026 is to use my public library more. This year, I've actually been using it a lot more than I previously used it, and honestly, I should. Because even though my public library, listen, like, I love it, and I love the fact that, you know, we have books for free. Listen, the fantasy section is horrific, okay? In my public library, it's horrific, it's horrible. It only has old books, and it doesn't even have all of the old books. Like, there is not a single Brandon Sanderson book in my public library. And that shocks me. Like, it really, really does shock me. And I understand, you know, it's not the biggest city in Portugal that I live in, but it's also not the smallest, so I don't understand why there's not a big or a bigger fantasy section, or at least an updated one. It just goes to show that fantasy really is a niche here in Portugal, unfortunately. But I still want to use it a little bit more because I do have a lot of thrillers that I could read. I have a lot of romance novels there, historical romances or historical fiction, anything. I just really want to use my public library a little bit more. So that is another goal that I do have for 2026. I don't know, I just really like going there and just bringing a book home because it gives me the same, you know, oxytocin than buying a book. But I'm not buying and not spending money. So yeah, it's a very, very good way of, you know, just satisfying my craving of bringing a book home without spending money. And we have reached the end of this tag, and I really love doing this. This is so much fun, and I think it just really grounds you and makes you think, okay, these are the books that I should be prioritizing before this year ends because these are the books I really want to read. And I really like doing that because sometimes you just have to reflect. You know, you have to ground yourself and really reformulate your priorities. That's why I really loved doing this tag, and also it's because it's a lot of fun, okay? And comment down below your answers to all of these questions if you want to, or if you don't want to, because, you know, it's a lot of questions. I think it's only 6. So it's not that much, but if you don't feel like answering these questions, then please let me know what books you still want to read before the year ends. You know, what are your goals for next year? What is going on in your life before the year ends? Let me know down in the comments because I am nosy. And with that, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video because it helps my channel out a lot and it gives me a lot of motivation and validation to keep filming these videos for you guys. And I will see you on my next one.